All right. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, and hi, Will. Good evening to you. Good evening, and welcome to Iowans Supporting Israel's celebration of Israel's 75th anniversary. My name is Charles Schneider. I'm one of the co-chairs of Iowans Supporting Israel. And on behalf of our board of directors, I'd like to just tell you that we're honored that you've joined us tonight to celebrate this momentous occasion. 75 years ago, under threat of imminent attack, Israel bravely declared statehood. And at the time, it wasn't clear if Israel would last for even a week, let alone be around long enough to celebrate the 75th anniversary. So to start things out tonight, we want to play a video for you that we think epitomizes how Israel and the Israeli people have been able to thrive and endure over the last 75 years.
Hey, my name is Omri Caspi, and I want to tell you about my country, about Israel. Since Israel's establishment in 1948 and up until today, we had faith. We had faith that we could transform a small country filled with swampland, desert, and wilderness into a green oasis. We had faith that we can uncover and embrace the ancient history hidden in every inch of this land, spiritual, religious, and cultural, and to respect everything it represents. We had faith that people from all four corners of the world can come and live together. People with their own language, history, and culture could unite to create one nation with a common destiny and a common purpose. We had faith that we could overcome the pain and the loss, and that we could protect ourselves when the time came. We had faith that despite all the difficulties and challenges, we would be able to establish a vibrant and a democratic society, progressive, diverse, egalitarian, and free. A society that is always looking towards the future with high aspirations. We had faith that we would succeed in becoming a leading nation in many fields. Medicine and science, technology and innovation, academia, public health, economy, agriculture, water solutions, and more. We had faith and continue to believe that despite the disagreements and conflicts of the past, we can reach understandings and sign peace agreements with our neighbors for the sake of a better and a safer future for our children. We had faith that the youthful and innovative spirit of a country that was never afraid to dream big would help us send astronauts into space, win Nobel Prizes and Olympic medals, help countries in times of crisis, and make waves in the cultural and global entertainment community. And yes, we won the Eurovision 4 times. So sometimes, even when things seem difficult and impossible, think about my country, about the people around me, about our common story, and about what we have managed to build and accomplish in 75 years. Anything is possible with a little bit of faith.
And the Kings go back up by 5.
Most people.
Well, as the video shows, Israel is a young country, but it's already accomplished quite a bit. It has a strong democracy, a vibrant culture, a thriving economy, and it's made significant contributions to the world in the areas of science, technology, and medicine. But what I'd like to do now is invite Pastor John Palmer and Rabbi Neil Schuster up here to lead us in an invocation.
What an honor to be here tonight and to share in this momentous occasion. Would you bow with me in prayer? Gracious God, we give you thanks and praise for who you are. We thank you for all the blessings that you have given us through the years. We thank you for the state of Israel, and we thank you for all of these wonderful people who live there. And I pray tonight, Lord, as we are here to express our support for our brothers and sisters in the Jewish community, I pray that you would protect them, that you would provide for them, and that they would experience in new and fresh ways the presence of Almighty God. We give you thanks and praise for the Jewish community here in Central Iowa. And I thank you for each synagogue and each temple and each place of worship where our Jewish brothers and sisters gather each week, and ask that you would pour out your blessing upon them in new and profound ways. Lord, I ask that you would help us to love one another as you've commanded us to do. I pray that there would be love for each other that would cover all of the differences that we have as we celebrate the goodness of Almighty God, our gracious Savior, we pray. Amen.
Please don't stop the beautiful symphony of silverware that I heard as I was coming up here. It's really nice sound. I may be about to kind of color outside the lines here. I was asked if I would give an invocation, so I'm not quite sure what you thought I was going to say, but I wanted to come up and offer a prayer, a blessing. And the easy thing to do would be, the logical thing to do would be to recite the prayer for the state of Israel. But I want to offer kind of an odd blessing as an invocation. And it's the blessing that we say before eating bread. It goes like this. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Praised are you, Lord our God, source of all creation, who brings forth bread from the earth. And now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to take a bite, but I'm not done yet. But it'll take me a moment to chew. Thanking and praising God who brings forth bread from the earth. The problem is, God clearly does not bring forth bread from the earth. I mean, none of us have ever picked a bag of bread rolls off of a tree, or a nice, French loaf off of a vine or anything like that. It doesn't make sense. And that's part of what's so beautiful about it. The fact that it doesn't make sense demands that we engage with it and interpret it. It demands that we wrestle with it. Israel, which is both the name of the Jewish people and the name of a modern nation state. The word Israel, as many of you may know, means to wrestle with God. How does bread come forth from the earth? God makes wheat and we plant it, we harvest it, we crack it open, we take the kernel, we turn it into flour, we transform its chemical composition, and then we have bread. This blessing is a beautiful illustration of the principle that we are called upon to be in a partnership with God in the work of creation, the ongoing work of creation, the ongoing work of repairing and establishing the world. And in order to do that, we can't just recite the blessing and say, hear it make no sense, and say, okay, all right, and ignore it. That we have to look at what makes no sense, and instead of rejecting it, or instead of blindly accepting it, we're called upon to engage with it and wrestle with it until it does have meaning and make sense. And the same is true of our relationship with Israel. There are times when we look at it and we can either blindly say, okay, all right, great, or we can look at it and we can really be disturbed, and some people reject it. But instead, we're called upon to engage with it, to wrestle with it until we find meaning, until it makes sense, because the world we live in is complicated. thank God. I wouldn't want to live in a simple world. God gave us a complex world so that we could be partners with God. And thank you for being partners.
We do have a few dignitaries here who I'd like to recognize tonight before we go any further in the program. First of all, I'd like to recognize our event co-chairs, former Ambassador, Governor, and current World Food Prize Foundation President, Terry Branstad. Terry, would you please stand? Governor, excuse me. And former Attorney General and longest serving State Attorney General in U.S. history, Tom Miller. We also have some statewide elected officials with us, Iowa Attorney General Brenna Bird and Iowa Secretary of Agriculture, Mike Naig. Will you please stand? And some state legislators, Iowa State Senator Jesse Green, one of my former colleagues, Iowa State Senator Nate Bolton, and State Representative John Dunwell. Will you please stand? There are also several local elected officials who are with us. If you're on a board of supervisors or a city council, would you please stand? And several faith leaders as well. If you're a pastor or a rabbi or you lead a religious group, would you please stand? And of course, Iowans Supporting Israel's board members, not all of whom could be here tonight. One of them had some lame excuse that she's in Armenia, but I think most of the rest of us are here. Will you please stand? And I was joking about the lousy excuse. I have a dry sense of humor, so if you're not used to that, I apologize. Well, as they say in politics, timing is everything. And unfortunately, we couldn't arrange the event so that it worked for members of our congressional delegation and our US senators because they're in session now. But they did want to, or for our governor, but they did want to make sure that they sent along their notes of congratulations. So we've compiled those into a video and we'll play that for you now.
Hi, I'm Congressman Randy Feenstra, representing Iowa's 4th Congressional District. For 75 years, Israel has promoted democratic principles and advanced economic prosperity in the Middle East. Our alliance is vital to our national security and our shared values. Last year, I had the privilege of traveling to Israel on a congressional delegation. We visited the Holocaust Remembrance Center, toured the Iron Dome missile defense system, whose funding I fully support, and I prayed at the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. As a lifelong Christian, I left Israel deeply inspired with a renewed connection to my faith. In Congress, I will continue to be an unwavering advocate for Israel and our strong alliance. I wish Israel an eternity of peace, prosperity, and good fortune. Thank you for all that you do.
Well, hi there, everyone. I wish I could be with you in person, but I am just so proud that Iowans are gathering together to show our steadfast support for Israel today. I had the incredible opportunity to visit Israel last year. I was able to experience the country's beauty and, of course, culture firsthand. And I also learned about the remarkable resolve of the Israeli people who constantly live in fear of terrorist attacks. So, as Israel celebrates its 75th birthday this year, I think it is safe to say that our support here in the US for this small but mighty nation is unwavering. Thank you for all you do to stand with Israel and her people as they mark this incredible milestone.
This is Representative Marinette Miller-Meeks from Iowa's 1st Congressional District, wishing a happy 75th birthday to the state of Israel Israel is our greatest ally in the Middle East, which shares the same values of democracy, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of association that we do here in the United States. Happy 75th birthday, Israel.
Shalom and greetings to Israel's Deputy Ambassador to the United States, Eliav Benjamin. Thank you for coming to Iowa. We are a steadfast supporter of Israel. In fact, I'm grateful for the Iowans Supporting Israel and our incredible co-chairs, Governor Terry Branstad and Attorney General Tom Miller. You are both leaders on the world stage for supporting America's allies. When I served in the Iowa State House, I was proud to stand for Israel on the floor. When I visited Israel, I was humbled to be amongst the people when we moved the embassy to Jerusalem. And working with the Israeli Defense Force, I'm honored to be a U.S. Air Force member who's helped defend the Holy Land. Now in Congress, I'm honored to defend the Abrams Accord and stand up to those violent groups who are inflicting violence on the streets of Israel today. As we celebrate Israel's 75th anniversary of statehood, we recognize the partnership and friendship our state and Israel have shared. We will always stand with you. God bless and thank you.
Hi, folks. This is Joni Ernst, the junior senator from Iowa. I want to congratulate Israel on 75 years of independence and to thank Iowans Supporting Israel for hosting this event and showing your unwavering commitment to the strong U.S.-Israel partnership. The state of Israel is a beacon for democracy and security in a region full of instability and terror. It is a vital interest that we continue to stand with our allies and partners like Israel. On the Senate Armed Services Committee and as a founding co-chair of the Senate Abraham Accords Caucus, I'm working with my colleagues to promote peace, stability, and economic prosperity in the Middle East. Now more than ever, the United States must be unequivocal in our support for our ally, Israel. I'm so grateful to Iowans Supporting Israel for hosting this event, and I appreciate each of you for being here to support their efforts. Thank you, and may God bless you all.
As freedom-loving Americans, we share the values of self-government and natural rights with our sisters and brothers in Israel. As a student of history and a person of faith, I appreciate the sacrifice, struggle, and story of the Jewish people. Iowa enjoys a robust economic partnership and cultural connection with our strategic ally there in the Middle East. On this 75th anniversary of statehood of Israel, we recommit our support for Israel's sovereignty, security, and pursuit of its age-old dream. A world of peace and prosperity for the Israeli people for generations to come is our hope and our prayer.
Good evening, and thank you for this opportunity to express Iowa's support and appreciation for the state of Israel. I'm grateful to Iowans Supporting Israel for continuing the efforts that were begun by its founders, Ed Skinner and Bud Hockenberg, to deepen this international friendship. I also want to take this opportunity to thank Consul General Cohen and the staff of the Consulate General of Israel to the Midwest for their strong commitment to Iowa. In the coming weeks, I'll be traveling to Israel on an official trade mission where I'll visit with the Prime Minister Netanyahu, President Herzog, and Israeli business leaders. During my time there, I look forward to presenting a formal proclamation that reaffirms Iowa's unwavering support as Israel celebrates 3/4 of a century as an independent nation. Douglas MacArthur once said, "No man is entitled to the blessings of freedom unless he is vigilant in its preservation." Perhaps no nation that aspires to the blessing of freedom has needed more vigilance than Israel over the last 75 years. And none has more consistently risen to the challenge. Israel's success in a hostile world powerfully demonstrates the capacity and resilience of a free, self-governing people. On behalf of the state of Iowa, I'm proud to stand shoulder to shoulder with Israel, America's most reliable ally, and to congratulate its people on their 75th anniversary of independence. I know that our partnership with this great nation will only continue to flourish in the decades to come.
Well, many of you are already familiar with Iowans Supporting Israel, who we are, what our mission is. For some of you, this may be your first introduction. For those of you who don't know, we're celebrating an anniversary of our own this year. We were founded 10 years ago by a bipartisan group of individuals, including Ed Skinner, who is a former Democratic legislator, Matt Strawn, a former Republican Party of Iowa chairman, and Mike Schreers and Bud Hockenberg and Loretta Seaman. They wanted to start an organization that was bipartisan and whose mission was to support the unique relationship that the United States and Iowa has with the state of Israel. And we believe that it is in our national security interest to support Israel for several reasons. First and foremost, because of security. Israel's cooperation in the Middle East is vital to the fight against terrorism and other threats to regional security. Technology. Israel is a world leader in technology, and the United States and Iowa benefit greatly from the technology that Israel shares with us in cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, and renewable energy. And because we should support other democracies. Israel is a strong democracy, the only really fully functional, vibrant democracy in the Middle East, and we should support them. And because of economics and trade. Israel is a strong economic partner and it has a growing economy, and the US and Iowa benefit from trade with Israel. But we also believe that Israel needs our support because it's constantly under attack. It's surrounded by state and non-state actors who refuse to recognize its right to exist, some of whom deny that the Holocaust even occurred, and some of whom refuse to even negotiate with Israel for peace. And it's also the target of movements such as the Boycott, Divestment, and Sanction, or BDS movement, that seek to isolate Israel financially and economically. That's why we believe it's important for organizations like ours to show strong bipartisanship support for the state of Israel. And that's why we're so grateful to you all for being here with us tonight to support this momentous occasion of Israel's 75th anniversary. What I'd like to do now is invite Bud Hockenberg to come up to the stage and make a few comments and introduce our featured speaker.
Thank Charles and Tom, and particularly thank Terry and Tom for leading us here this evening. I have a very brief comments about leadership before I introduce our guest speaker. There are three leaders I want to recognize. The first is Ed Skinner, our founding member, whose vision challenges us to become a state organization. And I also want to recognize Theodore Herzl, the spiritual father of modern Zionism, who said in the famous quote, "If you will it, it is not a dream." And that dream is now a celebrated reality. The third is Elie Wiesel, a Holocaust survivor, who in 1970s was a spiritual leader, resulting in the US congressional law, which said to Russia, which then had a most favored nation trade agreement with America, that you either free the Jewish population under Russian tyranny, or America would cancel the agreement. The Russians gave the green light, and Russian Jewry made Aliyah and emigrated to Israel. The theme of the national anthem of Israel is Hatikva, which means the hope, which is confidence in humanity's future with Israel as a light unto the nation. A light is part of leadership, and leadership is focused upon the Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And our special guest this evening, whom I will introduce, is an illustration of the genius of the Israeli operation with the key people they have in charge of foreign policy. Our guest is a recipient of a BA degree in Middle East and Islamic Studies from the Tel Aviv University and an MA in Senior Policy Planning and Management from the Hebrew University in Jerusalem, where he served as Captain Reserve in the IDF Infantry. Upon completion of his cadet training program in 2002, he served as Chief of Staff to the Deputy Director General for Public Diplomacy, where he also received an Award of Excellence for managing the International Media Center during Operation Protective Shield in response to the Intifada, Second Palestinian West Bank terrorism campaign. Fast forward and toward conclusion, in August 201C 16 to December 2019, as Director of Coordination Department in the Director General's Bureau, he was extensively involved with developing the Abraham Accords process, resulting in recognition by certain Arab states of the State of Israel, in addition to the previous ones of Jordan and Egypt. More currently, in August of 2022, he assumed his current position after serving as head of Middle East Bureau of Administrative Foreign Affairs in Jerusalem. He currently has a very unique role in Israeli foreign policy, and his military background provides key insight for performance of the 2014 Strategic Partnership by Act of Congress between the United States and Israel. In Iowa terms, his key assignment is to place the right Israeli in the right place at the right time. So we are all pleased to join me in welcoming Eliav Benjamin, the Deputy Chief of Mission for the Israeli Embassy in Washington.
Thank you, Bud. My mom and dad might actually believe some of it. It is a pleasure to be here with you this evening. Thank you, everybody. Erev Tov, as we say in Hebrew, good evening. Really a distinct pleasure for me to be here with you to celebrate Israel's 75th birthday. And what a party it is. Thank you, Iowans Supporting Israel, for organizing this great event, and a big thank you to the co-chairs of the banquet. Terry Branstad, former governor of Iowa and ambassador to China, who I had the privilege and honor to have a little schmooze with over dinner. Tom Miller, former Attorney General of Iowa. Brenna Burr, the Attorney General of Iowa, whom I had the privilege to meet earlier today. I'd also like to thank the co-chairs of Iowans Supporting Israel, Charles Schneider, Tom Henderson, whom I got to also know today, and who showed and took me around, literally, around the city. Thank you, gentlemen. It has been a pleasure, and I look forward to reciprocating, whether in DC or in Israel. Thank you also, Iowans Supporting Israel Board and founding members, for initiating this great organization and for putting together this great event. Dear friends, what a pleasure to be here in Des Moines, Iowa. I'm well aware that Iowa has a strong history of supporting Israel, a support that has expressed itself in many different ways and areas. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank Iowans Supporting Israel for all your ongoing support over the past 10 years, and thank you again for putting this evening together. I feel privileged to join you here knowing what dignitaries you have hosted here over the years, both Israelis and American. Thank you all Iowans, from the governor to the youngest citizen of Des Moines for your unwavering support to the State of Israel and for joining us here this evening. Thank you for your strong support of the US-Israel relations, and thank you also for initiating the governor's proclamation, which we just heard about earlier, which we are looking forward to hearing about during her visit to Israel in just over a week. And we are all very excited about this. Thank you also for illuminating the Women of the Achievement Bridge as part of Israel's national campaign to celebrate our 75th anniversary. And thank you for your ongoing daily work that you are doing to spread out the word about Israel across the city, the state, and the country. Thank you also for the close relationship you hold with our Consular General to the Midwest, based in Chicago, led by my dear friend, the Consul General Yinam Cohen, and his great team, represented by my friend and colleague, Mike, who is here this evening. Reading through your mission statement, I cannot but be at awe at your determination and commitment towards Israel, something I know is so deeply entrenched in each and every one of you, as it is in every Israeli, and we do greatly appreciate it. For those of us here who might need a little reminder, I'd like to read out the mission statement. As Israel is recognized as America's closest strategic ally in the volatile Mideast region, we as Iowans stand with her, supporting her sovereign right to exist free from terrorist attacks and for the right to defend her citizens, homes, schools, businesses, and territory. We acknowledge her sovereign right to exist and pursue what is best for Israel's people. We encourage elected officials and citizens across the state of Iowa and America to support and defend the rights of the state of Israel. Thank you so much for this. The relations between the state of Iowa and the state of Israel run deep, and support coming out of here to the state of Israel, and the commitment to the relationship is unwavering, and for this too we are grateful. In 2016, Governor Branstad signed a law that the state of Iowa would divest from companies that boycott Israel, and in 2022, Governor Reynolds took the next step and strengthened the legislation. I also want to thank Governor Reynolds in leading the charge to recognize Jewish American Heritage Month, recognizing the important contributions of the Jewish community to American society. I'm also told that the Iowa State House has powerful Holocaust memorial on its state grounds and serves as the place where Holocaust education and remembrance are all embraced. Some of you might remember that the numerous Israeli diplomats over the years have come to Iowa and addressed the Iowa State Legislature. Ambassador Ron Dermer, now our Cabinet Minister for Strategic Affairs, addressed the state legislature and served as a keynote speaker for Iowans Supporting Israel Banquet in 2019. Consul General Yinam Cohen met with Governor Reynolds, addressed the Iowa State Legislature, and served as keynote speaker for the ISI banquet here just last year. It was during this visit that Governor signed the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance, IHRA, definition of combating anti-Semitism into law, expressing Iowa's enduring support for the state of Israel and rejection of anti-Semitism. Iowans have been active in supporting Israel, not only in the sphere of government. The Women Achievement Bridge was illuminated in blue and white lights in April of this year. This is just one example of the people of Iowa supporting Israel. In the economic sphere, the Israeli consulate is partnering with the Cultivation Corridor, which accelerates ag tech and bioscience startups by connecting them to Iowa's global resource, talent, and capital. Governor Reynolds and Lieutenant Governor Gregg are piloting the United Hatzalah first responder program in rural areas to reduce emergency response time. The initiative received $150,000 grant from the governor's office. The consulate in Chicago is working with them to initiate a program that will help to bring Israeli companies ready to enter the US into the fold of Iowa, connecting them with local farmers, industries, partners, and investors. InsurTech Israel has partnered with BrokerTech Ventures and on an accelerator program. In 2022, InsurTech Israel brought a delegation of Israeli companies to meet with partners and for their closing ceremony, and they are currently working together again on their next cohort. I believe all of these illustrate that all of these initiatives will not only bring immense benefits to the people of Israel and America, but will also help to create a more stable, sustainable, and prosperous future for us all. Now, I would like to tell you a short story. A story about a 75-year-old young entity, man, woman, you choose. This 75-year-old, the state of Israel, born just 3 years after the worst ever premeditated genocide in the world, the Holocaust. Against all odds, and after the 29th of November 1947 partition plan, adopted by the United Nations, allowing for the establishment of the Jewish state. A few months later, on May 14th, 1948, on the ashes of the Holocaust, and with a population of merely 600,000 people, she was born. It took no longer than 11 minutes for then President Harry Truman to be the first world leader to recognize the state of Israel. So 75 years later, thank you, President Truman, and thank you, America. I will spare you the detailed war history since 1948, from the War of Independence, fighting off the armies of too many countries in the region, through the Six-Day War in 1967, when Israel fought and defeated the armies of Egypt, Jordan, and Syria. Then the Yom Kippur War, the Day of Atonement War in 1973, the First Lebanon War in 1982, and the Second Lebanon War in 2006. The Gulf War in 1990, with Scud missiles landing in Tel Aviv, in Ramat Gan, in Haifa, and other places across the country. Then there were the Intifadas, the violent Palestinian uprisings in 1987 and then in 2000. And this is without mentioning the ongoing periodic levels of escalation coming from terrorist groups from Gaza, Judea and Samaria, and Lebanon. And just recently, a terrorist crossing over from Egypt and killing 3 Israeli young soldiers. And unfortunately, there is much more. But above all is the lingering and ongoing threat coming out of the Islamic Republic of Iran, a country headed by a regime calling for the destruction of the state of Israel, working to achieve and acquire a nuclear weapon, funding, training, and encouraging terrorist groups like Hezbollah, Hamas, and Palestinian Islamic Jihad to attack Israel. But all these enemies of Israel, and in fact enemies of the free world, did not yet get it. Israel is here to stay. And they will not succeed with the belief in God, with the support and backing of the United States, but also, and excuse me for boasting just a bit, the pretty amazing capabilities Israel has developed over the years. Some of it together with our American allies, from our advanced and well-trained military, through defense systems like the Arrow, the Iron Dome, David Sling, and much more. But above all of this is the Israeli resilience, the strength of the people, the ingenuity and creative spirit, and the understanding that we have no other option but to succeed. Israel at 75 is a young, not always perfect, thriving democracy. A beacon to our neighbors and an example of how, with so little natural resources, well, until we finally found some natural gas offshore, we can flourish. Making deserts bloom, developing world-leading technologies like flash drives and ways, developing not only autonomous vehicles, but also autonomous planes and ships, leading in the medical sector and so much more. Israel is #1 in the world in percentage of GDP allocated towards R&D with 4.65%, double the average of OECD share, invested towards this direction. The country with the largest number of companies traded in NASDAQ outside the United States, the great number of capital funds investing in Israeli startups, and so many multinational companies opening R&D centers in Israel. These are all also a testament to the way in which Israel is appreciated worldwide. Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, this is also what helped bring about a paradigm shift in the greater Middle East region. Nearly 3 years ago, on Friday, August 13th, Prime Minister of Israel, Crown Prince of the United Arab Emirates, and the President of the United States of America jointly declared the formalizing of relations between Israel and the UAE and Israel in what turned into the beginning of what is now known as the Abraham Accords. This historic move has changed the region. It has changed also the way that all of us look at the region. The opportunities that are now just beginning to be realized are immense. The projects that we are working on are phenomenal, from regional land connectivity, from the Mediterranean through to the Gulf by land, through food corridors to regional supply and storage of energy, cooperation in space, medicine, security, tourism, education, and so much more. All of this would not have been possible up to 3 years ago, would not have even been possible without our courageous leadership by all involved, and could not have been possible without the United States of America. So thank you, America, also for this. These new developments allow also for the US companies and businesses to look further into doing business in the region, thinking of working not just with one singular country, but rather with a collective, identifying opportunities relevant and good for all. In any and every sector, I invite you and encourage you not just to come and visit, but to look into the business opportunities as well. But not all is rosy. In addition to the physical security threats Israel is posed with, the world is also witnessing a rise in hate and intolerance, whether it be anti-Semitism or Islamophobia, anti-LGBTQ, or just plain bigotry or racism. And this must stop. And it is on us all to chip in and work towards this goal. I would like to take this opportunity to thank Governor Reynolds for adopting the IRA definition of anti-Semitism last year, sending a clear message that anti-Semitism is and will not be acceptable. This is important, and it is also well received in Israel. And I'm certain she will also be thanked personally for this during her visit, and for many other actions and statements she has made, you have made, in support of the Jewish people, in support of the State of Israel. Last week in Washington, D.C., we had the pleasure and honor of celebrating the birth of the State of Israel 75 years ago, together with Vice President Kamala Harris and her husband, the second gentleman, Douglas Emhoff. This was truly a special occasion for us all, celebrating Israel's achievements, its diversity, openness, democracy, culture, economy, cuisine, and more. Celebrating a country now composed of nearly 10 million, a GDP per capita of over $40,000, 13 Nobel Prize laureates, one of the leading highest numbers per capita, and so much more. It was truly a show of friendship. nearly as strong as the friendship I'm experiencing and feeling here today. It was President Harry Truman, the first to recognize the state of Israel. His courageous decision has changed the course of history. The values and ideas that underpin the unique relationship between our two countries of liberty, freedom, and equality remain as strong today as they were 75 years ago. But, and even with all these achievements, we are not alone. We have to do so much to work on together, to further jointly develop our two countries and our two peoples. It's imperative for us all to work on it. As Vice President Harris said last week in DC, quoting from Pirkei Avot, the ethics of our fathers, Mishnah, "Lo alecha hamelacha ligmor velo ata ben chorin libatel mimena." You are not obligated to complete the work, but neither are you free to desist from it. Thank you for hosting me. Thank you for bearing with me. Thank you, and most importantly, for your ongoing, unwavering support for the state of Israel and for all that you are doing to strengthen these relations between the city of Des Moines, the state of Iowa, this amazing country of yours, and the state of Israel. Happy 75th to Israel, Yom HaAtzmaut Sameach. Happy Independence Day. God bless Israel. God bless the United States of America. God bless you all. Toda rabba.
My name is Tom Henderson. I'm the co-chair of Iowans Supporting Israel. Thank you, Deputy Chief of Mission Benjamin. If you'd be so kind, would you be willing to take a few questions from the audience if they have some?
With pleasure.
We take 3 or 4 questions if anybody has a question. I know you had a chance to talk to him before the dinner, but if anybody has a question, we'd be happy to take those at this time.
Who's going to be the second?
Behind me.
On behalf of everyone in Iowa, I really want to thank you for coming to Des Moines. My question is more a personal one. I had the experience of my life on November 2nd, 2016. I went to Jerusalem for 12 days and I was married in Jerusalem. My wife and I were so moved by all the Israelis there, how friendly everyone was. And I was so sorry that I could never make the trip earlier. But I would highly recommend that anyone who has not visited the state of Israel should go there. The history, the people, it's an incredible experience. My wife and I fell in love with the country. However, there's one unique situation that we have. I'm Jewish, my wife is Christian. So the state of Israel did not recognize our wedding ceremony. So we got married here first at the courthouse. And then my wife found a Messianic rabbi who was actually from Minnesota, but we were married in Jerusalem. We loved Israel so much that we consider moving there for life. But our understanding is that, well, I can make Aliyah to Israel, that she could not possibly stay there permanently because she's a Gentile. I mean, I grew up in a traditional synagogue in the Chicago area, where my understanding was that Israel is always welcoming and opening to everybody. And I'm just curious, are we wrong about this? The fact that she's a Gentile, she couldn't live there for the rest of her life?
So I'm not quite sure that is the information that I know. First of all, congratulations, Mazal Tov, for getting married in Jerusalem. We really hope to see you more, come and visit more and more. And yes, also make Aliyah to Israel. I think we can make this happen.
Thanks, Loretta. So my question was, what would your advice be to Israelis to invest in Iowa, to invest in the people here, to bring their technology here and to open up the marketplace?
I think you're one of the best well-kept secrets in the United States of people not realizing what an attraction this place is and how attractive it is for businesses, for Israelis. I've just heard just a few minutes ago from the former governor about the tax rate here. I would come here, I would move here in a heartbeat. So that's just one incentive for Israeli companies to come here and to do business, but there are so many more. And I think the fact that there are not enough Israeli companies here yet, first of all, are bad in a way, but I think it's for all of us to work on this as well and to open the eyes for Israeli companies on the one hand and Iowan companies on the other hand, to get to do more and more business together, to understand what the opportunities are. Take a roadshow out to Israel, presenting various sectors of businesses here. Let's organize a roadshow coming in from Israel. We'll be more than happy to organize that as well. I think this is part of what it's about. And yes, it's also about we all spreading the word about the opportunities in Israel and about the opportunities here in Iowa. So I think some homework for all of us from this evening as well. Thank you for that.
Be close to each other. I'm coming.
I have a question. Earlier this year, China broke a deal between Saudi Arabia and Iran in order to insert its influence in Middle East. As we spoke, President Abbas, the leader of Palestinian Authority, is in China on an official visit right now. Do you think there is a role that China is trying to play between Israel and Palestine in order to compete against the American leadership in the region? Thank you.
So I think that China is definitely trying to play a role on the global stage when it comes to diplomacy, if you want, to geopolitics. Up to fairly recently, I think it was looking more in the ways and eyes of economy and business and trade. And I think what they are doing now is seizing an opportunity. Also with Iran and Saudi, yes, they brought them to the table. How much they actually did for it, I'm not quite sure. I think there are more questions than answers on that one. And riding on that, they're now trying to offer their services, by the way, also to the Russia-Ukraine issue as well. Are they going to be the next deal breakers of the world? I'm not quite sure. I wouldn't hedge my bets on that one. I think it is more an issue of wanting to make a position of we are here, we're big, you cannot disregard us. But time will tell. There is someone over there.
Thank you. Question about, you just said that you are trying to help with the issue of Ukraine and Russia, Israel, not you personally. What about these 200 tanks, Merkava, that Israel planning on sending to one of the European countries? I believe they didn't announce what countries they're sending to. I assume it would be Ukraine. And for 40 years, since this tank was part of Ukrainian military equipment, Israel never sent his tank to anywhere. So is it true or it just gossips?
So yes, there were reports that I too have seen today on Israel beginning to export its well and world-renowned Merkava tank that we've been using for quite a number of years. I had the honor and privilege also to be in and on those for quite a number of times as well. There is no question on where Israel stands on the issue of supporting Ukraine. war with Russia. There is no question on that. And we will do everything that we can to help them on humanitarian issues and to help them to defend themselves. We have our internal constraints and issues like every other country has and calculations. And helping and working with countries around Ukraine is also a way of assisting and making sure that what Russia is doing in Ukraine does not happen to other countries in Europe as well. So we'll do everything that we can in this regard as well.
Okay. My name is Roger, and I had the privilege of spending a couple of weeks in Israel just right after the 75th anniversary and recognize the security needs and recognize the power in industry and fuel needs that is being tackled, and then have noticed in the last 40 years or more, the Dead Sea has been dropping. And as the water is siphoned off for good needs and possibly siphoned off by a neighboring country, is there plans in the works to stabilize or increase the water supply coming out of the Jordan River and supplementing that valuable Dead Sea area?
Well, thank you for the question. I actually had a very interesting conversation about that exactly with the mayor today here in Des Moines, speaking about the issues of water scarcity, we're talking about climate change and the global warming as well, which is all interconnected, of course. I think it was just recently that most of us dealing with foreign policy actually realized how much the issue of climate change and global warming is actually an issue of national security. And yes, there are concerns of water shortage. I mean, Israel, as I mentioned earlier, has very limited natural resources. First and foremost, we have no water, or very little of it. And that's what brought us about to develop the desalination plants that we have. One of the major and main sources of water for Israelis to drink was the Sea of the Galilee, the Kinneret, for years. And now we're at a stage, I'm happy to say, and that too, the level of the water, the sea level there was getting lower and lower and lower. People could walk nearly halfway through the lake at some point. And fortunately, over the past few years, we've had much more rain and snow coming in from the Hermon, coming in from the Golan and from the Galil into the Kinneret, which then provides water to the Jordan River and then down to the Dead Sea as well. But what we've also started doing now is that desalination plants are actually bringing in water into the Sea of the Galilee as well. We have enough of it, thank God, and thank technology as well in this regard. So yes, while the Dead Sea is the lowest place in the world, it is actually getting slightly better. But this is something that's going to take years, decades, maybe even beyond that. Something that we are looking at very carefully. I will just add one more thing apropos our neighbors and neighbor in this regard. One of the great things that have come out of the Abraham Accords and this new regional cooperation that we have now is also working with our neighbors and friends on issues like water and energy. One of the projects that we are working on with the Jordanians is something called Prosperity Blue and Prosperity Green. Prosperity Blue is Israel providing a very large amount of water to Jordan, and parallel to that, Jordan providing solar energy to Israel in the southern part of Israel, in the Negev and the Arava. And this is something that we are working on now. It'll take a number of years until we can actually implement. But this is the type of cooperation and regional cooperation which is a win-win for everybody. And I really hope and actually believe that through the new agreements and new things that are happening in the region, we're able to have more and more cooperation for the benefit of the people. Thank you.
So for many years, I felt that Israel was too quiet in
saying, here we are, and we're good people, and we're doing good things. The news media and politicians around the world said other things. Israel is always the first one, as I know, to go to places where there are volcanoes or earthquakes or storms or whatever to bring their MASH units and to do things. Is Israel, besides that, trying to say, yes, we were there. We were the first to arrive. We were the first to help. We need more speakers to come out and speak to the general public, not just to us who do support Israel, but everywhere. I would need to know what's going on with that, and will that be the younger people need to step up and do more traveling? Hatzalah, I think, is a wonderful organization. I'm glad they're coming to Iowa. Will they be coming to many places around the United States?
So thank you for that great question as well. I mentioned earlier that maybe Iowa is a well-kept secret. Maybe Israel is a well-kept secret as well, at least in regards to what we do internationally, assisting developing countries, coming out to help in disasters worldwide, whether it be an earthquake in Haiti or just recently in Turkey, or events taking place in Japan or anywhere else around the world. Yes, we are there, and we are normally one of the first responders worldwide. On an ongoing way, through our development agency known as Mashav, which was actually initiated in 1958 by then Foreign Minister, later Prime Minister Golda Meir, our own and only woman Prime Minister. Since 1958, we've been doing this. We've been doing this in countries in Africa, in Southeast Asia, in Latin America, in former Soviet Union, worldwide. So is this a well-kept secret? Yes. Should it be such a case? No. Should we do more work on PR? Absolutely. Do we need your support for this as well? Yes, we do. Should we get more people out here? Yes, we should be doing that as well. Should we have more Ichud Hatzalah across the country, as well as Magen David Adom and any other agency or organization that is able and interested and willing to share its experience and actually help save lives and save people? Yes. I encourage us all to kind of come out there and speak to us, encourage us to do it, show us where and when we can bring what is needed. Come to Israel, see the new things that are happening. Organizations like Save a Child's Heart, which helps kids in Africa and in Asia and in Latin America and other places around the world who are unable to do it. This organization brings them to Israel for heart surgeries, and these kids live. So these are great stories, and we need to get these stories out there as well. So thank you for that.
Thank you very much. We have for those wonderful comments tonight. We have a special gift for you because you came to see us. We're very grateful. And it wasn't without pain. You had a long journey today and you have to leave at 4:30 in the morning. So we do appreciate you being here. Loretta, if you would come up. Loretta Seaman has a gift which we want to present to you.
That makes me feel good. This is a privilege I get to do when we have guest speakers. This is especially important to me tonight because as I look around this room, and I've tried to greet most of you that came in, and some of you I knew and some of you I didn't. We all come from some different areas, but for the first time, I'm in a room with Democrats and Republicans at the same table. I'm in a room with people from different countries at the same table. I am in a room with people that don't agree with each other at the same table. And for the first time, I am so proud to be an Iowan because we've had crises across our country. We've had things happen across our country that we don't understand. And as an 80-year-old, there were days when I wasn't sure I was proud to be an Iowan, but today I am, tonight I am. Because you came together because it was important. You came together because one of our fellow people in another country came to be with us and to tell us what they were doing, and we believe in them. You came because you were Catholic, because you were Jewish, because you were Protestant, because you were everything. To be here to show him how much he means to us, but more important, to show the Iowans in this room how much we mean to each other. This gift that I give to you is a gift about Iowa. And there is a puzzle, and in that puzzle, it showcases everything about Iowa. There is chocolate wine for you and your wife to enjoy, with glasses that bring spirit from an elderly couple who made their own wine in a vineyard. In there are the candies that our children like. In there, there's the book of our Constitution and what it means to our state. In there are memories of things that we've enjoyed with Israelis. But the most important thing I want to share with you is many, many years ago, I married my husband, and he is no longer with us. But when we got married, the little Italian priest, Catholic in a church, gave us a very special gift. And what he said to Bob and myself was that no matter what you have, your love will grow. No matter what you have, your life will grow. But what I wished for you for the entire life you have is peace. And he gave us this wood piece that said shalom. So tonight I would like to share that with you because it has meant so much to Bob and I. And you're talking to an Italian Catholic who is extremely close and 5 years older than you, so you need to listen. And to each and every one that's here, as well as our guest here, thank you from the bottom of my heart and from the 4 men that cornered me one day at breakfast to be part of this, because this is so important. If we could go out tomorrow, if each of you could just befriend someone that you haven't today, but try to make a difference. We can become the Iowa that we know. We can be the example to every state around us. And we can be the country that can be proud to be part of Israel. We can help Israel and we can help ourselves. Thank you very, very much from the bottom of my heart. I hope you enjoy this. I hope you can take it on the plane because it's quite heavy. But from all of us in this room to you, thank you so much for spending time with us.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, yes, that'll be for you. We may want to mail it to you. I don't know. It's a rather large parcel.
Thank you so much.
Well, just to close our evening, again, thank you, Deputy Chief Mission Benjamin. Thank you so much for your wonderful comments, for coming to Iowa and sharing with us our celebration of Israel's birthday. Ed Skinner back in 1948 was a child, and there had been an announcement over the radio that the state of Israel had been founded, and his mother took him aside and said, "It's essential for our nation to always support this country." And Ed had a very profound memory of that particular request from his mother. And that was one of the reasons why he helped to start this organization. I was invited to this organization by Ed Skinner. Something brought me here today, and that was Ed Skinner's invitation. Each of you came here today for a particular reason. And I think that's wonderful. For whatever reason it was, by an invitation or some type of impact that a family member had on you that gave you a love and respect for Israel, I say welcome. If you're new to our organization, I say welcome as well. I'd encourage you to become part of our organization and take advantage of the things that we're trying to accomplish here in the state of Iowa. One thing that you can do if you're new to our organization is give us your email address. Our wonderful executive director, Tamara Harrison, would you stand up and wave your hand? Tamara? Would love to take your email address and include you in all of our mailings. The second thing you can do is to come to our monthly meetings. We have a monthly meeting in which we learn something about Israel at every meeting. Our next meeting is going to be a great one. And if you want to come, we'd love to have you. If you're on our email list, you'll get it. It's on July 18th at noon. We're going to have Debbie Durham, Dan Keogh, and Billy Hunt, and they're going to talk about all the great business advantages that are available to Iowans to try to do business with Israel. You might find that's interesting. You can talk to our speakers. They're always well-informed, and it's a wonderful free lunch. So we'd love to have you. It's going to be at the Iowa State Bar Association office. You can get more details for us if you'd like to hear more about that. And the last thing you can do is donate. We're a nonprofit organization. We're also bipartisan, which is wonderful. I'm a Democrat. I have a chance to serve with my good friend Charles, who's my co-chair. And previously I had a chance to serve with Matt Strom, who's a Republican. Again, a very good friend of mine. And we think that's the way it should be about Israel. We have a great bipartisan feeling within our organization, and it's a wonderful organization that way, in that we believe that our support for Israel has to be bipartisan. It must be bipartisan in order for our support to always be there for Israel. If you support us financially, we'd like to take this organization statewide. And that's why we've asked Ambassador and Governor Branstad and former Attorney General Tom Miller to help direct us. They've run statewide. We're going to ask them for ideas about ways that we can take this organization statewide. And they're very, very helpful and have been helpful to us in the past. And we'd like to see that happen. We're also planning a trip to Israel sometime in the near future. We'd love to include you if you want to come along. And hopefully that will be something that will happen soon. The last thing I wanted to tell you was that for the members of our board, for elected officials, and for our guest speaker, we'd like to have pictures up here right after the event's over. If you'd be so kind as to come up to the stage, we'll get those pictures done. And again, thank you so very much for supporting our organization, and have safe travel. Thank you.